He's a shy boy, but ends up winning over the cute girl with glasses. I'm Care Anime, leave a like, and let's go. It all starts with Yoto, a very reserved student, that typical nice guy, but who completely freezes every time he sees the person he likes. He is hopelessly enchanted by Mia, a classmate who, unlike him, is not shy at all, but is always in her own world. Her level of destruction is so surreal that she almost always forgets her glasses at home. Yoto keeps dreaming that he talks to her on the way to school. Pure fantasy. Even after an entire year sitting side by side, it's only been 3 days since they exchanged real words. Mia is the type who seems to inhabit another dimension, and when she decides to speak, she says things no one understands. But no matter how out of it she seems, Yoto is already completely in love. His greatest wish is that one day she will see him differently, behind those huge glasses she usually wears. The next day when he arrives at school, Yuta notices that Mia is not wearing her glasses and on top of that, has a more serious expression. Even so, he thinks that despite her serious expression, she still has a kind of charm that's hard to explain. She says good morning to him, and that's enough to leave him in pieces. And of course, any gesture from her will make him freak out inside. Since they almost never talked, he doesn't have the courage to ask about the glasses, but Mia already starts a conversation. She notices that he is staring and tells him not to mind her serious expression, explaining that when she strains her eyes to see, she ends up following her brow. Being nearsighted is no joke. While she talks, Yoto is in a trance, just thinking that this is their first real conversation, but he needs to say something, otherwise he'll seem crazy just staring, so he goes with the classic. How did you manage to get to school without your glasses? He really wants to know because the way she is, she might have even forgotten she needs them to see. Curiously, she has been forgetting to wear her glasses almost every day in the past month. Determined to help his nearsighted muse, Yuto is ready to do something, but she interrupts him saying she can't find the history book in her backpack. He, as a good attentive squire, approaches to help with the search. The problem is they're already too close, to the point where a simple bump could cause an internal collapse in him. Anxious, he prefers to offer his own book, thinking that this way he would escape the tension, but the opposite happens. Maya thanks him, and instead of stepping back, she pulls up a chair and sits next to him to study together. For anyone else, this would be something trivial, but for someone as introspective as Yuto, it's almost an emotional earthquake. He feels his shoulder touch hers and his face is already completely red, and of course he feels totally pathetic for freaking out over something so silly, but the situation only gets worse because Mia needs to get even closer to the book to be able to read, and her vision is so bad that her head covers the entire page. Yoda tries to stay calm, but when she says she's going to move away, he panics and blurts out a desperate, "Just leave it like that." On impulse, he even offers the book for her to take home, which Mia refuses, saying she prefers to focus on the class. Meanwhile, in Yuto's mind, he's already creating a world of possibilities. He imagines Mia using his book, a tiny detail that already makes the day worthwhile. But then sadness hits, because he realizes that when she puts her glasses back on, she might not even remember his face clearly. For her, this moment will just be a blurry image, while for him, it was significant. At the school exit by the lockers, he and Mia cross paths again, but as always, she seems distant, struggling to recognize who is beside her. You can see she's a bit uncomfortable. So Yato asks if everything is okay. Mia replies that the shoes are too big, but the mystery soon resolves itself. The truth is that she is wearing his shoes. Yoto immediately recognizes they are his. Anyone would think she was left without help, but in reality, the club members tried to solve it. However, Mia, with her absurd confidence in her own memory, refused any assistance, thinking she could handle it. To be honest, her memory works well, but when she opened the locker, she saw that the shoes were a somewhat greenish tone, while hers had always been white. Yoto decides to check what happened and discovers a frog inside the locker. He asks Mia to turn a little, preparing to deal with the little creature. As a good cleaning warrior, he already decides he will wash the shoes at home before returning them. Before they leave, he notices Mia's shoelaces are untied and offers to tie them. He bends down and focuses so much on the shoes that he doesn't dare to look up. If he did, he might just have a fit right then and there. After this marathon of rescues, Mia thanks him for the help. After all, Yoto spent the entire day solving her little troubles. Somehow she feels she needs to repay him. Yoto only thinks that the best gift would be if she kept forgetting her glasses, almost praying for it. The next day, to his absolute delight, Maya shows up again without her glasses. Must have wished really hard, but the joy is short-lived. She says she stepped on them, and they broke. In physical education class, the game of the day is dodgeball, and Yoto already knows this is going to go badly. Unable to see, Mia becomes an easy target. He suggests that maybe it's better for her not to play, but that doesn't change anything for her. Her logic of "it doesn't matter" lasts until the first ball flies in her direction, at which point she decides the best defense is to hide behind him. Later, the two are exhausted from the physical education class. Yoto thinks Mia is super focused on the book, but the teacher notices something else. He shouts that no one can sleep in class. Then Yoto looks to the side and, well, she really is sleeping. In the middle of this, Mia starts murmuring random words while dreaming. From McKinley understood she's dreaming that she's protecting Yota in dodgeball. He thinks about waking her up, but the problem is that just touching her already causes a mental breakdown. The teacher starts to approach slowly, and Yota realizes he has to act or she will get scolded. With quick reflexes, he stops the teacher from getting close, explaining that since Mia is without her glasses, she needs to get very close to the book to see. Near real hero. The trick works for a little while, but soon he realizes he will have to find a way to wake her up. In the middle of this, Mia suddenly wakes up and still a bit groggy calls Yoda dad, asking about the glasses. He explains that she's at school and that he has nothing to do with her father. Mia thinks for a moment, looks at him with that completely blurred vision, and decides to go back to sleep. But this time, she decides to lean on his shoulder. Yudo deeply wishes this moment could last forever, but the teacher arrives and cuts off any chance of that happening. The next day, Mia shows up again without her glasses. This time, she is serving food in the cafeteria and is clearly overdoing the portions. Unable to see properly, she accidentally puts much more soup than she should on people's plates. Komura offers to take over the task to avoid problems, but she refuses, saying that he is a master at distributing bread and shouldn't waste that gift helping her. The comment catches him by surprise because he has no idea what she meant by that, but he decides to let it go. She insists she can work normally, so Komura decides not to insist further before being cancelled for being too controlling, but it soon becomes clear that she is really having difficulties, and it's not just because she can't see well. The bigger problem is that the smell of the food is making her hungry, which makes her even more distracted. In line, a friend of theirs shows up with that energy of someone who always wants to act smart, saying that whoever eats keto repeats double. After finishing the work, it's finally lunchtime. Komura eats excitedly, but Mia seems too thoughtful, until she blurts out that she probably served only potatoes to the others, leaving all the meat for her. What Mia actually did was save the meat for him, as a way of thanking him for always helping her in daily life. Perlinza pepping his help is sounding hey. She confesses that she didn't even know if he liked stew that much, but she thought it would make him happy. No one had ever cared so much about her like that. As a true fan of stews, she knows that the best part is the meat, so she decided to give the most valuable part of the dish. But by a twist of fate, all the meat saved for him was actually just potatoes. After that, a week passes. Coincidentally, it's exactly the time Mia went without forgetting her glasses even once. But today is not one of those days because she shows up wearing contact lenses. The problem is that she feels uncomfortable with them, finding it strange to have something floating in her eye. Worse still, she remembers a time when she couldn't remove the lenses and ended up with a small trauma. Even so, she feels she needs to get used to it. It's just that her body doesn't cooperate, and tears start to fall. Komura, as always, gives that moral support and says she doesn't need to force anything if she doesn't want to. Glasses or not, he'll protect her anyway. Mia, with her eyes still shining with tears, thanks him. That was enough to make Komura consider a marriage proposal. The next day, Mia shows up with that usual expression, a classic serious look that no one knows if it's boredom, anger, or destruction. But curiously, besides the lenses, she's wearing glasses again, a real mystery that only the great detective Komura can solve. When he asks, she explains that since it was very hot outside, the glasses fogged up completely. She can't see anyone properly. It was so complicated for her that she almost mistook a classmate for a stranger and asked the teacher to remove the supposed intruder. Shortly after Mia surprised Komura by asking for his WhatsApp, the guy freaks out so much inside that he thinks about repeating 1,000 times that he would give her his number without a second thought, thinking that this would be a good strategy to win over his crush. But actually, Mia wanted his number because she has been forgetting her glasses a lot lately, and in case something happens, she prefers to call him to rescue her. With the start of summer, Komura receives an unexpected message from Mia. She is at the train station waiting for him. When he arrives, he discovers the big surprise of the day, Mia, once again without her glasses. The problem was that she forgot them on the train. So, instead of trying to manage on her own, she decided to call her best ally. Today is an important day for her, and she needs to get to a certain place no matter what. Komura decides to act as a true guide, and for that, Mia holds his hand. This touch alone is enough to send him into shock. The girl just touched his hand, and he was already in total meltdown mode. The destination of this important mission was a bakery that had a special promotion for an exclusive cake. Mia places the order, and when the waitress brings it, the irony of the situation hits Komura. She can't even see her own order properly. Good, someone help this girl. He starts jokingly suggesting that he could feed her, but soon regrets what he said, and tries to pretend he never said anything. But even before he can take it back, Mia already opens her mouth, waiting for the airplane. Now he has no choice but to feed her. In the most romantic style. After dessert, the next destination of the day is an eyewear store, which makes sense since her old ones are practically retired. Mia tests her new secret weapon, a pair of glasses with an updated prescription. As soon as she puts them on and looks in the mirror, the world is officially in full HD 4K. Komura, on the other hand, can only think about how beautiful she looks and that his mission on Earth is accomplished. He thinks about leaving so as not to bother anymore. But before he can turn around, Mi holds his hand and asks if he has free time. Now that she can see everything clearly, she wants to keep enjoying the day, but of course if he's busy, that's fine too. Kimura immediately responds that there's absolutely nothing more important than these. They spend the day together, going to various places, playing with gacha machines, looking at accessories, and having iced coffee. At the end of the outing, Mi thanks him, saying she had a lot of fun. Kimura replies that he also enjoyed the day so much that he doesn't even know how to explain it. Mi says goodbye, promising they'll see each other at school, and leaves. Kimura, on the other hand, sees the day as if it had been a dream. The next day, the sun hides, and the rain takes over. A perfect weather for Mi to forget her glasses once again. But today, besides being nearsighted, she is also flustered. Kimura notices that her glasses are on her forehead and tells her. Mi, with no idea they were there, gets startled and drops them. He picks up the glasses and looking ahead, sees a scene that made the day worthwhile. Mi, with her eyes closed, waiting for him to put the glasses on her. It's nothing much, but at the same time, it feels like something that shouldn't happen. Near the bathrooms, two girls are talking about a letter. One of them is trying to convince the other to deliver their romantic note she wrote. In the middle of the conversation, they end up dropping the letter and leave without noticing. Mi, who barely saw the scene, sees the paper falling and decides to pick it up to return it. Later, she tells everything to Kimura. He tries to be discreet when looking at the content, but ends up seeing the recipient's name, Asuma, the most sought-after guy in the class. The heart-shaped seal immediately confirms that it's a love letter. There was no way it was just a message. If it were, it would be sent via WhatsApp. Mi asks who it's for, and Kimura reveals what he discovered. Without thinking much, Mi goes straight to the classroom to deliver the note. The whole scene looks suspicious, because to an outsider, it seems like she is the one confessing to Asuma. Asuma, confused, asks if the letter is hers, and Mi, not really understanding, just confirms. Kimura watches and already knows it's going to go badly. The whole class gets excited, several girls start whispering, wanting to know if Asuma will accept, and worse, they ask Mi directly if she likes him. She doesn't respond very romantically, just say she likes him casually. But for those watching from afar, it looks like a confession. While everyone is excited about the possible declaration, Kimura just hopes Asuma reads the letter quickly and realizes the mistake. When Asuma finally opens and reads it, his face reveals nothing. Kimura definitely wasn't born to decipher popular people. He even thinks that Mei might really be into him. After all, Asuma is handsome, good at sports, has good grades, and even takes care of a German shepherd. He's the complete package. Anyway, Kimura is shaken, so much so that Mei notices and goes to him thinking he's crying. After a while, Kimura gathers courage and asks what she thinks of Asuma, but before he can continue, Mei blurts out that everyone keeps asking. Did she like him? Kind of, but not that much. The more logical question would be about Kimura, since the two are always together. And then comes the final blow. Without any ceremony, but with a devastating calm. She says she likes Kimura. The boy goes into total shock. The impact is so great that he spends the rest of the day floating in his own thoughts. Later, at home, Kimura keeps reliving all of that. The fear of dealing with beautiful people is real, but the mess he makes on his head is even worse. The next day, Kimura is walking down the street to get a coffee from one of those vending machines when he meets Mi. She's undecided, trying to choose what to get. That's because, of course, she can't see anything new. Kimura was there, trying to choose carefully, but even getting closer, he couldn't clearly see what he was pressing. So Mi wanted a little hot chocolate, but, you know, she can't see anything, but at least she knows how to tell hot from cold. If it's cold, she presses the blue button. If it's hot, the red one. Kimura even felt more at ease, seeing that she can do some things on her own. After all, the girl is smart. Mi took the drink, had a sip, and almost choked coughing. She hit a black coffee, beat her in a way that Ivan had also struggled to drink. Bitter like a mother-in-law picking on her son-in-law, she looked at the coffee, then at Kimura's lips, and there she was, all red. She started imagining that if he drank it, it would be like an indirect kiss. Romance is in the air, huh? But then she made up an excuse, said she doesn't like black coffee either. To make it worse, in her mind, there was still the crazy mental version of her father, who would also never let her drink that. Alright, time to go to class, but Kimura was already late, so he ran to school. Later in class, some girls started seeing clouds in the shape of a heart. As always, curiosity took over, and everyone started looking. The teacher, seeing that the class was distracted, just had to raise his voice to restore order. Mi really wanted to see the clouds too, but without her glasses, she couldn't see anything. Kimura, being the proactive guy he is, took out his phone and snapped some photos for her. At night, he sent them to her via WhatsApp, and that made me super happy. The romance is progressing, and Valentine's Day was approaching. Long live love and romance. Kimura was walking through the market, thoughtful, imagining how nice it would be to receive chocolate from me. But he quickly gave up on the idea, thinking it unlikely. But as if he had summoned the girl with his thoughts, she appeared out of nowhere right behind him. This boy manifests strength. Mi asked if he was there to buy something, and Kimura explained that he went out to bike a shop, but then he was taken aback by her look. Wow, she looked beautiful. Hei found it very different to see her out of the school uniform, but as always, she forgot her glasses. Not that it made a difference since she said she was used to the area. Then came Dikdi's moment. Mi asked what it was that he wanted to win. Kimura knew that if he told the truth, it would be practically a declaration. He couldn't just say that in the middle of the street, all decorated for Valentine's Day. So he changed the subject, better than exposing himself like that. And off they went, he grabbing ketchup, she going to buy mayonnaise, like a little couple shopping together. While he was all giddy in the market, Mi saw a Valentine's Day gift and thought it was like a pharaoh's tomb. Out of nowhere, Mi threw it back in Kimura's face that he hadn't answered what he wanted as a gift. Son, now there's no escape. Wasarangshi, Dasbob, The boy was already in a panic, but he knew he couldn't escape anymore. He looked around trying to find a way out, and that's when he spotted an employee handing out free chocolate samples. It's now or never. Without thinking much, he suggested to me to go try one, but then, panic set in. He realized too late that the employee was selling Valentine's Day chocolates, so to avoid freezing for too long, he quickly grabbed a chocolate and handed one to her. That's it, baby. Act naturally. Mi stayed there for a little while, feeling how warm Kimura's hands were compared to hers, which felt like blocks of ice, but she thought that maybe it was even better to have cold hands for making chocolates, because that way, they wouldn't melt so easily. And well, she had already planned to make chocolates for this Valentine's Day. The big day arrives, and Kimura was already there, sitting and waiting for his chocolate. Even if it was from a friend, what mattered was the gesture, but Mi showed up without her glasses, already doing that basic stumble to deliver sweets to others. When it was his turn, she said she had made chocolates. She wanted to give something really soft, but she had already given out all the chocolates. She was all embarrassed, trembling with team, apologizing. Komura, always diplomatic, said it was okay, but both were a bit sad. He thought that maybe next year he would have better luck, but he didn't want friendship chocolate. The focus now was on boyfriend chocolate. In the midst of these thoughts, Mi, still embarrassed, turned to him and asked if he was busy after class. Komura didn't even answer, but being the fool he is, of course he would stay. Later, the two were alone in the room. Mustache was thinking that if it wasn't chocolate, yeesh. Makanju Try retorted she could offer something else. She just didn't want him to be without a gift, and since she didn't know what to give, she decided that Kimura could choose whatever he wanted. Think of a guy who froze. Kimura got nervous. It didn't matter what he asked for, she would accept it. This left that guy bewildered. The room was empty, just the two of them. The silence was complete. He realized it was now or never, so he asked her to listen to him. It might seem simple, but for him, this was already a huge step. He knew he might end up ruining the entire friendship, but at least now she wasn't wearing glasses. If she made a face when rejecting him, at least he wouldn't see it. The atmosphere was tense, but when it was time to speak, the words simply wouldn't come. She regretted choosing this moment and even asked if he wanted to go to the bathroom, but that wasn't it. A bit embarrassed, she asked him to wait until she was ready and could face him with a smile. He replied that he would wait and that he would try not to forget the glasses. Maybe she already guessed what he wanted to say. Fiddling in her pocket, our milk found a chocolate, which was actually hers, but decided to give it as a gift. It was a romantic moment, but in the end, Mi just ended up gaining a few extra pounds and a confession that lingered in the air. A month passed since that day, and why they arrived, that day when boys have to return the chocolates they received on Valentine's Day. Now it was Kombori's turn to give his gift. Mi showed up to class looking like she hadn't slept well. He asked about it and she replied that she didn't have breakfast and even forgot her glasses at home. To make matters worse, she said she received so much chocolate on Valentine's Day that she overindulged and now would have to hold back from eating more sweets. She even asked Kimura for help in case she got tempted, but then came the problem. It was White Day, the day of sweets, so he couldn't just not give the present he prepared. To make matters worse, Mi didn't receive just one present, she got several. They started appearing from all sides and even Azuma showed up out of nowhere with cookies. That's when she realized it was White Day. Trying to resist temptation, she picked up a caramel, but when she went to grab something else, it was a cookie. Kimura, on a mission to stop her from eating sweets, tried to contain the situation, but Mi was already at the limit of her sugar craving. When she went to grab another, Kimura held her hand and said that if she was going to eat something, it should be his gift, masterstroke. The intention was to make her stop eating sweets, but in the end, he gave her one himself. Mi was very happy and ate the cookie. In the end, feelings won. A few days later, at school, Kimura realized how quickly the year had passed, but at least he and Mi ended up in the same class again. During the certificate presentation, the teacher called the students with perfect attendance, including me. The problem is that she's almost falling asleep standing up and with such an intense look that it scares everyone around. Kimura, who already knows that I'm going to glare at you face, realizes that if she goes up there like that, everyone will think she's in a bad mood and her reputation will go downhill. He needs to act quickly, so he makes up a conversation about a pressure point in the hand that calms the nerves, and Mi, unable to see anything, asks him to help her.